All right, let's go back to global news. Our top story, the Israeli military says it has struck hundreds of Hamas and Islamic Jihad targets in the Gaza Strip. Damage was seen in various areas across the Strip as residents woke up to another day of the war, some looking for their belongings among the rubble and of their homes and stores. The death toll from the fighting now standing at around 1,100 in the Gaza Strip and Israel. Let's get more from Israel. We are now joined by SABC News correspondent Sarah Coates in Tel Aviv. Sarah, thank you for being with us. Just explain what you've seen in the last few hours, what it's like on the ground right now.
Yes, hello. Well, look, it is extremely tense. This is an unprecedented situation. I'm in the centre of Tel Aviv, and around an hour ago, rocket sirens rang out right across the centre, also in Jerusalem. Huge booms in the sky. I'm still hearing them now. There are still red alerts going off right around the country as this, as Hamas continues to fire thousands of rockets into the state of Israel. Israel is carrying out a massive bombardment of the Strip as we speak. I'm hearing military helicopters in the background. And has just announced that it is imposing a total blockade on the coastal enclave, which means no fuel, no electricity and no food going into Gaza. Now, this, of course, it comes after this unprecedented surprise attack by Hamas on Saturday, which has so far left more than 700 Israelis dead. Many more are missing, and dozens of people have been taken captive by Hamas and are currently being held at unknown locations in Gaza. Now, this is what is making this operation extremely complicated for the Israel Defense Forces, for Israeli authorities, is simply due to the fact that there are these civilian hostages being held in Gaza, being used as bargaining chips. Now, if they weren't there, of course, it would give the IDF more leverage to potentially get in and begin a ground operation in Gaza, with pressure mounting on the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to do so.
Do you know how many hostages are being held right now? There were visuals of civilians being taken, and of course, Hamas said soldiers were taken, were held in tunnels. Does anybody have a grasp of the actual numbers?
Look, they actually don't. We do know that there are dozens of people and many more missing. Right now, the numbers of these people potentially being held by Hamas in Gaza are unknown. There are emergency centres being set up right across Israel as extremely distressed family and friends go into these centres, taking personal effects like hairbrushes and toothbrushes with DNA samples to try and just get some clarity on just where their loved ones are. But let me tell you right now, the feeling on the ground here is of utter sadness. Everybody knows somebody who's been affected, who's been killed, who's been taken captive by Hamas, while, pretty much every young person, people up to the age of 60 or so, are being called up to the reservists and are currently mounting on the Gaza border and in other locations around Israel in preparation for a potential ground offensive. So, you asked me about the situation here. It is unprecedented, it is sad, and everybody is feeling it.
And the potential ground incursion that you're talking about, I mean, this has been discussed, but you're saying the hostage situation makes it more complicated. What is the government saying about that right now?
Well, look, an emergency government has been established with the opposition leaders and the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu just to really try and get a hold of this security, situation. As we speak, there are discussions taking place as to what to do next. There, as I said, is a heavy bombardment of Gaza right now, troops mounting on the border. And if there is a ground operation into Gaza, it would be the biggest since the 2014 Gaza war. Of course, pressure is really mounting on the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to get in there and actually do something, given the sickening attack which took place Saturday, which has so far left more than 700 Israelis dead, with the death toll rising. So, pressure, political pressure is mounting on him, and Israelis have had enough. They're saying, you need to actually take hold of this situation and give us some peace back, because this is simply not good enough. That's what I've been hearing on the ground.
final question. You spoke about the sadness, the fact that everybody is feeling this impact, even if they don't know one of those killed. Husbands and sons are being called up. Just tell me about some of the stories coming out. We know of that concert, that's recent news coming out of just the carnage at a happy event, ostensibly. And just tell me about some of the stories about the families coming out in the press or amongst the people you've spoken to.
Well, look, a lot of these families are actually willing to talk to media to get their stories out. I will be endeavouring to speak to some of these families over the coming days, but their stories are absolutely harrowing. As you and I did, they saw these horrific videos flooding social media of these young people who were down in the south having a great time at this nature festival when Hamas operatives actually paraglided in before taking people hostage, also throwing grenades into these dance tents. It was only yesterday that Israeli authorities uncovered at least 240 bodies from this festival slaughtered in between orchards. I'm sure you've seen these horrible, heartbreaking videos of, young people running for safety. I even knew a few of those people in these videos, which absolutely shocked me to my core. When you see these type of things, you always imagine it will be somebody else and it's somebody else's son or daughter. But, it's really beginning to hit home. Everybody, as I said, knows somebody that's been called up to the IDF reserves, somebody who's been killed or somebody who's lost a family member. So it really is a traumatic time for everybody here in Israel, dealing with the fallout and the current situation, which is ongoing after Saturday's unprecedented attack.
All right, thank you. From Tel Aviv, Sarah Coates.